In the running shoe world, these tweeners are really all the rage. Endorphin Speed 3, Nova Blast 3, Hyperion Tempo, Zoom Fly 5, and for ADIDAS, the Boston 11. But is this really that shoe that hits a lot of different marks? As always, I never give a full review until I've gotten at least a long run interval and an easy run in, and I got all those and more in the Boston 11, and it may not have ticked all of my boxes, but there is definitely a great spot for this shoe that I know I'll be reaching for it in my future runs. Let's get into the good, the bad, and where I'll be reaching for this shoe in my daily workouts. Now normally I start with the good in the shoe, but this time I'm gonna change it up. I'm actually gonna start with the drawbacks, and you'll understand why when I start with these drawbacks. The main drawback for me is actually a drawback that could just be personal. It's the firmness of this shoe. Now, I am a huge fan of the Adios Adizero Pros. I have the original and I have the 3 that I have raced in and love, love, love the Lightning Strike Pro midsole. And I also have SL20s, which are just the regular Lightning Strike. But for some reason, in the Boston 11, when they were put together, it just has a more firm ride than I'm used to with, obviously, the Lightning Strike Pro is going to be a lot more forgiving. But even with the SL20 lineup, it just has a little bit more firmness to it. And could this be because of the nylon energy rods that they have between these two midsoles? I don't know, maybe. But on those easy run days, it really felt very, very stiff, very, very hard and firm to the ground. And this is why I started with the drawbacks, because there's a lot of people that love that firm ride with a running shoe. Now maybe not this firm for an easy day shoe, but some people like that. And for me, that's my biggest drawback of this shoe, is actually the firmness of it on those easy days. But is that firmness something that catches up and is beneficial on those higher speeds? Wait for that till I talk about the good. Another potential drawback that some people may have is that snug race type fit upper. It could be because of the gusset of the tongue. It's really, really high up and closer to the heel than I'm used to in traditional semi-gusseted tongues. But that snugness is something that others may find as a drawback. If you have a wider foot, this may be a challenging shoe for you to run in. That is a drawback for some people, is that tight race fit. Now I don't necessarily want that on my easy days, but on my tempos and my intervals and my longer runs. But I know for the overall side, that snug race fit upper is a drawback for a shoe that's supposed to span across a lot of different types of runs. But those are my 2 main drawbacks. And again, if you're a firm shoe runner and you like those firm shoes, it may only have 1 drawback. But let's get into where I really found this shoe singing when it hit the concrete. As I mentioned, I really put this thing through its paces. And one of the workouts that I really found this shoe singing was when I was doing marathon pace, about 10 seconds faster than marathon pace and about 30 seconds faster than marathon pace. So that's low 6 minutes all the way down to around 5:20, 5:30 per mile. And the shoe felt snappy. I'm talking easy to get up to the paces, easy to stay into the paces, and really kept me moving through my gait cycle nice and easy as compared to some of the other tweener shoes. I'm talking the Endorphin Speed 3 here. This one really didn't feel bogged down. It felt snappy and responsive to my feet. It's got the nylon plate just like the Zoom Flies, the Endorphin Speed 3. Although these are energy rods, it's still, you can see that flex and that bend. It's really nice and pops back, unlike what I was not getting from some of these other shoes. And that is really where this thing sings. Not on your easy days, but when you're trying to get some turnover in those medium to longer runs, it helps you get through that gait cycle. And I'll tell you, that's probably where I'm gonna reach for this shoe again. Although it may not be the lightest in this category, probably the lightest going to the Endorphin Speed at just over 8 ounces, it's also not the heaviest like the Zoom Fly, which is clocking it at a colossal over 10 ounces. This is right in the middle, 9.6, 9.7, depending on what your size is. And it didn't feel that heavy. That's the part that I'm gonna go into my second positive, which is that race upper for that type of running. And on my foot, that race upper was perfect. It was a wonder, and it felt so great on those longer up-tempo paces. And that could also be what helps with that lockdown. I mean, you're not getting a lot of padding in the heel counter, but you're getting something that feels like it's supposed to be fast. And the shoe just felt like it was fast. The last positive is I think this shoe is gonna last a long time. Now I know Lightning Strike Pro tends to break down fairly quickly, similar to the Zoom X midsoles of Nike, but I think combining that with regular Lightning Strike and this Continental rubber they have on the outside, which Adidas has done their partnership with, this shoe is gonna last several hundred miles. And that is something you want in a shoe you're gonna be spending $160 on. It is going to last, I'm gonna guess, 350, 450 miles. And I know I'll be over 200 in this shoe real quickly and coming back and talk to you about what I think of this shoe after that many miles. Now, what do I think? I'll be honest, man, I was really surprised. When my first run was an easy run, I thought to myself, I may not even get to 50 miles in this shoe. But after doing an interval workout and then doing my long run with the tempo, the Boston 11 has that sweet spot. And that sweet spot really is when you're picking it up around marathon pace to just below marathon pace, it sings. And so when I see that workout coming up on my training plan, one of the shoes that I'm gonna be reaching for is absolutely going to be the Boston 11. And if you're one that's gonna be racing in the Adios Adizero Pros and you don't want to beat those shoes up because you just want to pinch those pennies and not have to get a bunch of carbon rotted shoes like they have in those, this is gonna be your go-to. And with me leaning towards running in those shoes for the New York City Marathon, Boston 11s, they're gonna get some miles.